Good morning, children. So, students, today we are going to begin with our next chapter, that is chapter number 5 of Civics, Judiciary. So, students, whenever we look at a newspaper or whenever we see a newspaper, those pieces of pages gives us every information about the work which is done by the courts in our country. But could any one of you tell me why do we need these courts? क्या कोई बता सकता है कि why they are so necessary? And as children, we have also studied in the previous chapters that India is a country in which we have a rule of law, which means that every citizen, every person of our country is equal in the eyes of law. All the laws that are made in our country apply equally to all the persons, and in case if somebody tries or somebody violates these laws, there are fixed procedures for dealing with those persons. So students, to enforce these rules, to enforce this rule of law in our country, we have a system which is known as the judicial system, which consists of the mechanism of courts that a citizen can approach when a law is violated. Whenever any law is violated, we citizens have the freedom to directly approach the courts of our country, approach the judicial system of our country. Now, children, as an organ of the government, the judiciary plays a crucial role in the functioning of India's democracy. But this role, which is played by the judiciary, is possible only if it is independent. Now, you all may be wondering, what is the difference between judiciary and independent judiciary? Is there any connection between the Supreme Court in New Delhi and the courts which are in our area? So, children need not to worry. The questions to these queries are going to be answered in the chapter we are going to start. But before we begin with any of the discussions, the very important thing that we need to discuss is what is the role of judiciary. जो judiciary है वो हमारे लिए क्या role play करती है. We need to learn that first and then only we'll be able to discover our rest of the questions. So let's study about the role of judiciary. As you all know that court take decisions on very large number of issues. There is no limit. They have right to take decisions on every issue. They can decide that no teacher can beat a student, or about sharing the river waters between various states. They can punish the people for the particular crimes, and so many are there. So children, broadly speaking, the role of judiciary is divided into a few categories. Let's see what are those. The very first category is dispute resolution. Dispute resolution means finding out the solution when there is a dispute between two parties, two communities, or the state. So student, the judicial system, it provides a mechanism for resolving disputes between the citizens and the government, or between two state governments and between the center and the state government. Dispute can be between anyone. So the judiciary, it has a system, it has a mechanism for resolving these disputes. Talking about the second role, that is judicial review. Now, what is a judicial review? As you all know, the laws are made by the parliament. They are passed in the parliament. So students, if any such law is passed by the parliament which violates the basic structure of the Indian constitution, any law which is against the basic structure of the Indian constitution, the judiciary has the right to call off or cancel that law, and that particular procedure is known as judicial review. So, as the final interpreter of the constitution, the judiciary has the power to strike down particular laws passed by the parliament if it believes that there are a violation of the basic structure of the constitution. Then, talking about the third role of judiciary, upholding the laws and enforcing fundamental rights. They uphold all the laws and they enforce that all the fundamental rights are given to every citizen of the country. You people have heard about a story in class 7th. It was a story of an agricultural laborer, Hakim Sheikh, who got injured on his way back home from work, and he was taken to several government hospitals, but for one or the other reasons, the government hospitals, they just refused to admit him, which made his condition even worse. And later on, when he was admitted to a private hospital, he has to incur a lot of money, a lot of loss. So when this case was heard by the Supreme Court, so under Article 21, which gives us fundamental right of right to life and right to health, under that particular law, the Supreme Court ordered the government of West Bengal to pay the compensation for all the loss that was suffered by Hakim Sheikh due to the negligence of the government hospitals. So this is how the judiciary, it makes sure that no citizen is deprived of their fundamental rights. Now let's children discuss next about what is an independent judiciary. So before I start with the explanation, I have a situation here to discuss with you. So imagine a situation in which a powerful politician has taken over a land that belonged to your family. Your family is having a land holding on which a powerful politician has taken control, and he is not at all ready to give that land back to you. And if we talk about the judicial system, the politician, he is very powerful, that he has enough power to even dismiss the judge the present judge, to dismiss that present judge from his seat. Now when your family take this case to the court, the judge is clearly partial to the politician because he is threatened of losing his chair, his position. He does not have any security for his service. Now the control that the politician holds over the judge does not allow him to take an independent decision, and this lack of independence forces the judge to make all the judgments in favor of the politician. Even if our family is right, even if we are right, the judge, being partial, not having independence, he will take all the decisions in the favor of the politician. And although we often hear of rich and powerful people in India who try to influence this judicial process, but the Indian constitution protects these kinds of situations. So children, basically to protect and ensure a citizen's right, it is very necessary that the courts, the judicial process should perform their functions well, and the judges who are meant to impart justice are independent and impartial, because if only they would be independent, then only they would be able to take the decisions for what is right and what is wrong. Because being dependent on some powerful people, being dependent on some rich people, lead them to take wrong decisions. And they must also feel secure and fully protected regarding their life and service conditions and terms. And to ensure the independence of the judiciary, the Indian Constitution advocates the separation of power between the organs of the government. Like in chapter number 1, we studied that separation of power is one of the feature of the Indian Constitution, in which the three organs of the government, namely legislature, executive and judiciary, are also separated from each other. They are not dependent for any work. Judiciary is independent from legislature and executive, and this ensures that no single person performs both executive as well as the judicial functions. And the demanding procedure to remove a judge also contributes to the independence of the judiciary, whereas the judges of Supreme Court and State High Court enjoy full security of service, because removing a judge is a very difficult task. The judges, they cannot be removed so easily. They are only impeached on the grounds of proved misbehavior or incapacity. So they have full security of their service, and providing them independence make Indian judicial system fair for what is right and for what is wrong. It helps all the citizens to protect and secure their rights.